So I'm not sure if you've had this particular experience. I certainly had it a number of times, unfortunately. You're walking in the street and you recognize or you realize that you've lost something. You've dropped your wallet, perhaps your phone or your keys. And of course it starts this panic of, where did I leave it last? And trying to look around, and of course the anxiety to make sure that you find it. Now, I mention this because in our Parsha this week, the Parshat Ki Tetze, the Torah discusses many mitzvot. One of those mitzvot is called Hashavat Aveda, returning a lost object. Now, I'm going to oversimplify it. If you're walking in the street and you see a lost object, the Torah tells us we have a mitzvah to return that object to its rightful owner. Now, of course, how do you know who that owner is? So the Torah says it needs to have some type of siman, some type of sign or symbol, that it can be recognized that this belongs to somebody. If there's no sign, for example, like an object like money, which goes from hand to hand to hand, then you can keep it. But the Torah tells us there's also another situation in which you might be allowed to keep it. And that is if the owner of the object has given up hope of finding it. And of course, according to Jewish law, halakha, it goes into what kind of situations that might be. For example, if the person lost it in a place which will be really impossible to find it. You dropped it in the middle of the sea, or you dropped it in a burning fire or so on. And so, of course, if that person has given up hope on it, then it no longer belongs to them and you can keep it. As with every mitzvah in the Torah, there's always a metaphoric message. There's always a powerful life lesson. And I think there's one for our times, and in particular what's going on right now. You know, the Torah is telling us that if a person finds something, they can keep it if the other person has given up hope. It all depends on if the person still has a desire, still has a hope, still has some type of conviction that things are going to be okay. Once they've given up hope, then it's ownerless. And in a sense, in life, it's the same thing. You know, Viktor Frankl and others, other greats who went through terrible, terrible life situations, they all speak about this concept of hope, where you still have a belief, a faith that something good is going to happen. That you don't just lose the entire hope that life is just not worth living. And sadly, we know that people do go through this. There's mental health challenges, there's struggles that people go through. But I think the Torah is telling us that we need to have hope. We need to try and maintain that hope, that belief in positivity. And as I said, it's not always easy. Sometimes you might need professional help. You might need to go see a professional to assist you in going through this. But if we can all try and hold on to a bit of hope, if we can all try and look at some positive things in our lives around us, to try and recognize the good, then things will never be ownerless. Then things will never be lost from us. And so hoping we can take a message from this parasha, that we all remain hopeful. And of course, as I said, here in Melbourne and across the world in different places, things are very tough right now. But retain that hope. Remain hopeful that positivity is coming. And really, every situation in life, there's always positive things to look at. And hopefully we can try and focus on the positive instead of the negative. Sadly, the media and other things are always feeding us negativity, and sometimes it makes us feel like giving up hope. Let's look at the parsha. Let's look at the people around us who have inspired hope. People who have gone through even worse things, but have managed to look at what can I look forward to, what can I look at in terms of seeing the bright side of life. So wishing you all a wonderful Shabbat. Let's see the positivity. Let's be hopeful that goodness is coming our way and goodness is here already as well. Have a wonderful weekend, and again, a Shabbat Shalom. Hope to see you next week.